Dr. Susan Berel grew up in New York City, settling in Atlanta in 2002. She started working at Powers Ferry Psychological Associates in 2005 and recently helped open up our newest satellite office in Sewanee. A married mother of two rambunctious boys, Susan loves long morning walks and making funny voices for her kids' entertainment. Psychologist Dina Zeckhausen recently sat down with Susan at the Marietta office to find out what makes her tick. This is Therapists on Couches Sipping Tea.
What were the experiences that you had that made you think that would be something you'd like to do with your life?
I've always kind of been, even as a young child, I remember being very sensitive and wanting to help others. From the get-go, I was also very sensitive to people's pain. I think, when I say that I was sensitive, it was more about that. And then, as I developed and then as I studied in school, it was kind of like the perfect marriage, because as I found, the subjects in psychology, I just found them to be fascinating. And so then that, coupled with my natural tendency, I guess you could say, it just ended up all melding together.
What is your approach to therapy?
The one premise that I hold for all my clients is that they come to therapy with certain strengths, and I think that the premise that I have is that everyone is capable of making the changes that they want in their lives or within themselves. It's when they can't make those changes that I then work with them to help them get unstuck. Typically when people come to therapy nowadays, it seems like they really want to just have a quick fix, for lack of a better term, that they want to come for 1 or 2 sessions and feel like everything's said and done, that they're fine. And sometimes that can work. Sometimes the problems that people come to me with are easily resolved within a few sessions. At the same time, there's other problems that people come to therapy with that really do take longer. My goal is certainly not to keep somebody in therapy for the rest of their lives or for as long as possible. It really just depends on what their problems are and what they're struggling with. So I guess I would just tell somebody who's coming to therapy just to be realistic.
Now, how long into a therapy session can you tell if you're clicking or not?
I think you can tell right away.
Yeah.
I really do. And sometimes it's hard to articulate why you click with a therapist, and sometimes you just can't put words on it, but you know. And if you click, you'll feel it. And I think that's kind of what makes therapy, or what can make therapy so effective, is it's not just what the therapist does or knows or says, it's that unspoken bond or relationship between the therapist and the client. And that's how I've changed in my life in being a client or on this side of the couch, as I know that I've had some very powerful experiences with therapists that I've trusted, and that's made all the difference.
And I'm curious, what you've observed in terms of how the changes in the culture have impacted your clients, and how that shows up in the office, and how you work with that.
The clients that I've worked with over the years have become more savvy, and they know that standard is unattainable, it's unrealistic. But what's ended up happening instead is that rather than seeing clients who are struggling to attain a certain beauty ideal, all that perfectionism and then obsessiveness ends up kind of focusing on, I guess you could say, the perfection around eating and how you can have the healthiest eating possible. I mean, there's all that obsessiveness that goes on, and the person's life gets taken away essentially by thoughts about what they should eat, shouldn't eat. They're controlled by, this perfection around eating.
Why do you think you like working with people with eating disorders so much?
The characteristics that might make them vulnerable to developing eating disorders are also the very characteristics that make them such formidable people. And, a lot of the people I work with who do struggle with eating concerns and eating disorders are not only sensitive, but really bright, creative, talented in so many ways, and thoughtful. And so, it's just a pleasure to work with them, and also to see them overcome, to use their strengths and channel their strengths in a way that helps them recover, rather than having those characteristics go in the other direction, which is toward a place of unhappiness and misery.
How has being a mother of 2 young boys changed you as a therapist?
Being a mom, kind of what you're saying, it has helped me really understand other moms and other parents too. I think before having children, I could do my best to, assist people who are having parenting problems or problems in their family lives with their children. Yet when you become a parent, that's when you have the lived experience and you get it. So, there have been times when my kids were very, very young, early on, and I would come to do therapy with, spit up on my shirt. And fortunately, my clients were very forgiving about that. But you just have to let go a lot when you're a parent. There'd be times where I'd hear a client speak, or even somebody who was a parent when I wasn't yet a parent, and I'd think, gosh, how could they say or do that to their children? I don't understand. What are they thinking? And then I became a parent myself, and after all those mistakes I've made, I realized, well, as a parent, you just do the best you can.
Susan, how do you deal with your stress?
I try every morning to go for a walk for about an hour and a half if I can fit it in. Now that's not always realistic given the demands in life, but that is just so helpful. It just clears my head, it gets my body moving, it makes me feel alive. And particularly in this job, I'm so sedentary, right? Because I'm sitting most of the time. So to be able to fit that in the morning is so crucial for me. And if I can't get it in the morning, I try to do it in the afternoon.
When your alarm goes off in the morning, and I know you're busy, crazy, getting the kids ready and out the door, and you're thinking about going to work, and you think about your day, what is it that you look forward to about being a therapist?
I guess just seeing the resilience that my clients have and the strength that my clients have to overcome their problems. People come to me with all sorts of issues, and a lot of times they feel like they're not solvable, or they feel like they're really in despair. And just the process of sitting with someone and witnessing either the recovery process or seeing them overcome their internal struggles is just incredibly powerful, and I feel honored to be a part of that when I'm on someone's journey with them in that process.
Shut this door.
Was that the toilet? I can't believe I just used the term yucky.
To do it again.
We're not striving for perfect.
Okay, you're doing fine so far. Susan, do you stay in the shower?
Yeah, yes I do.
I had a professor in graduate school, and I remember he talked to us as a group, and the one thing he said one time is he said, if you've never been in therapy, you're either a hypocrite or a fool.